Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that, honestly, just completely transcends the normal boundaries of sports. We're talking about the ridiculously intense 2026 Champions League final, and more specifically, this profound, almost unbelievable emotional connection it forged between two fiercely rival defenders. It's a story about the absolute highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and that shared human vulnerability that links us all together. So let's get right into it, because this is about so much more than just a game of football. Okay, so 11 words, 18 years apart. Today we're looking at a moment of incredible human solidarity that literally stopped the football world in its tracks. Just hours after one of the most heartbreaking moments you'll ever see in modern football, a message was sent out on social media. It wasn't some long PR-crafted speech, and it definitely wasn't a tactical breakdown. It was just 11 simple words. But those words reached across an 18-year gap in time, bridging two completely different eras and, amazingly, two fierce London rivals. To really grasp the weight of those 11 words, we have to start right at the climax of the story. May 30th, 2026, the Puskás Arena in Budapest. This was, without a doubt, the setting for the biggest game in Arsenal's recent history. They rolled in as the newly crowned Premier League champions, having finally snapped that agonizing 22-year title drought, and they were facing off against the absolute powerhouse that is Paris Saint-Germain for the ultimate prize in European football. I mean, the stage literally could not have been any bigger, and the entire footballing world was glued to their screens. And the tension that night, it just escalated minute by agonizing minute. Arsenal actually struck first with a brilliant Kai Havertz goal in just the 6th minute. North London was absolutely dreaming. But PSG, being the giant they are, clawed their way back in the second half with an Ousmane Dembélé penalty. That led to a grueling, completely deadlocked 1-1 tie after 120 minutes of just extraordinary football. So it all came down to a penalty shootout. And heading into the 5th and potentially final kick, the shootout was perfectly level. Let's walk through exactly what happened next, because it's absolutely crucial. Arsenal desperately needed a taker for that decisive 5th penalty. And bravely, it was their Brazilian center back, Gabriel who volunteered. His manager, Mikel Arteta, actually confirmed later that Gabriel specifically put his hand up for it. Now keep in mind, center backs, they're usually the guys throwing their bodies in front of blazing shots or heading the ball away from danger. They are definitely not usually the ones taking delicate finesse shots under the ultimate pressure. But he stepped up anyway. He ran up, struck the ball, and, heartbreakingly, fired his shot straight over the crossbar. Just like that, Paris Saint-Germain were crowned European champions again, and Gabriel was left standing entirely alone on the pitch, carrying a burden that literally no player ever wants to carry. To really understand the sheer isolation Gabriel must have felt in that moment, we actually have to think back to the year 2005. According to data from Opta, the weight of Gabriel's miss was genuinely historic. By firing that ball over the crossbar, Gabriel became the first player to hit a Champions League final shootout penalty completely over the bar since AC Milan's Serginho did it against Liverpool way back in 2005. To put that into perspective, for 21 years, no one had experienced that exact, highly specific feeling of watching the ball sail completely over the frame of the goal in this specific final. It is a lonely, staggering statistic. But you know how a person responds to massive failure tells you absolutely everything about their character. Hours later, Gabriel posted this incredibly courageous message. I'm going to read part of it for you. It's painful, but I'm proud of this team. Thank you to our incredible fans. You deserve to celebrate this journey with us and enjoy the parade today. Despite carrying what had to be the heaviest weight imaginable, the guy showed immense grace. He completely prioritized his teammates and the fan celebration of their monumental league title, way over his own personal pain. Now, to truly understand the larger narrative here and what happened next, we have to do a quick flashback. 18 years ago, to be exact. May 21st, 2008, the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. Another Champions League final, another devastating night, but this time in the freezing, pouring rain. We're talking about the legendary all-English clash between Chelsea and Manchester United. Chelsea captain John Terry, who is arguably the greatest defender of his entire generation, stepped up to the spot. If he scored, Chelsea would win the trophy. Simple as that. But as he went to strike the ball, Terry slipped on the wet turf. He hit the post and missed. United ultimately went on to win the shootout, and that image of Terry weeping on the pitch, still in his full kit, instantly became one of the most hauntingly recognizable images in the entire history of the sport.
When you actually stop and put these two moments side by side, the parallels are absolutely striking. Think about it. You've got Gabriel in 2026, a center back who bravely volunteered for the fifth kick and missed, over the bar. And then you have John Terry in 2008, also a center back who boldly chose to take the decisive penalty, slipped, and missed. These are two men whose literal job description is to defend and protect. They are not penalty specialists, yet both of them bravely stepped up in the ultimate high-stakes moment when others couldn't, and both paid the hardest possible price on the biggest stage imaginable.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates why John Terry was definitely not watching that 2026 final as just some casual neutral. He knew exactly what that lonely, agonizing walk back to the center circle feels like. That's exactly why, just hours after Gabriel's miss, Terry jumped on TikTok to post 11 simple words. "I feel for Gabriel. Trust me, I've been there. I wish him well." He reached completely across that fierce, deeply ingrained Chelsea-Arsenal rivalry to offer absolute, unwavering solidarity.
Let's just pause for a second and redefine what we're actually looking at here. Real courage is volunteering to protect your team in the absolute most pressured moment, even when it risks immense personal pain and very public failure. What John Terry recognized in Gabriel wasn't a moment of weakness, and it definitely wasn't a lack of skill. He recognized a profound act of courage. Gabriel put himself forward to shield his teammates, knowing full well the devastating career-defining consequences if he failed.
And if we look at the aftermath of Terry's career following his miss, we actually find incredible hope. He rebuilt. He went on to win 4 more Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups, and a Europa League. Terry is living, breathing proof that a missed penalty, even on the grandest stage of them all, does not define a career. He bravely rebuilt himself to become an undeniable Chelsea legend. That one terrible moment in Moscow, it did not write his final chapter. Which, of course, brings us right back to Gabriel today. At just 27 years old, his story is far, far from over. I mean, in May 2026, he helped finally end Arsenal's 22-year title drought. He reached the Champions League final. And looking ahead to June 11th, he begins the FIFA World Cup with Brazil. He literally has the perfect global stage waiting for him right now to write his own victorious next chapter, carrying all the hard-earned lessons and resilience built from that devastating night in Budapest. And that really leaves us with a final thought to ponder today. Does shared human vulnerability ultimately mean more to us than the tribal colors of our favorite teams? John Terry's profound 11-word gesture is this amazing reminder that football, and really the shared resilience of the human experience, is always going to be bigger than any single rivalry or any single mistake. It leaves us to wonder, how might extending just a little bit of empathy entirely reshape the way we view our heroes, especially in their darkest moments? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope it gave you a fresh perspective.